Welcome, friends. Today, we are continuing our first impression series on the house of Darren Alan. Awesome. That's right, my friends. Once again, I have returned to you with samples of Darren Alan, sent to me by the lovely Michael Harness, all the way from America. So, the last time out, I found... What did I find? I found that the Darren Alan samples were, I felt, quite well made. Good ingredients, and there was one of them that I actually liked so much that I put on my skin and enjoyed. But stick around because that'll come in the last video. Anywho, shall we begin? We shall. I don't know why I asked, because I'm going to anyway. First up today, in fact, I'll tell you all the ones that I've got. I've got Sweet Repose, Chypre No.1, Hekate, and Bathory. Okay, so first up today we have Sweet Repose. Excuse me whilst I look up Sweet Repose on the piece of paper. And the piece of paper says lavender, violet, opium poppy accord, lily, iris, orris, vanilla, tonka, myrrh, fossilized amber, frankincense absolute, cedarwood, and benzoin. Good grief. I'm expecting this to be sweet and ambery with a bit of freshness too. Ooh. Well, I'm getting powder. I'm getting violet. I'm getting grandma's bathroom. After a bath, powdery. Most powdery. What do we have here? It's purple. Launched in 2010. The blurb says, this velvety amber floral perfume combines the darkest yet most delicately balanced elements of perfumery and combines them into a sepia tone painting of Victorian era morning rooms and opium dens. So morning as in like grieving, not like in the morning. Then the untold story of soft violet and orris root suddenly gives way to the lonely, sobbing tones of the soul iris. If the sentimentality and nostalgia for that which has been lost were ever to emit a scent, it would be the smell of Sweet Repose. It does have that kind of like old kind of smell, you know, like old talcum powder. Granny's bathroom. There's a lot of people into that kind of thing. It's not chalky though. You know, I'm not getting like a grinding between my teeth kind of thing that I get from some fragrances that are like this powdery. I think it might just be a little bit too powdery for me, a little bit too talc, you know. The violet, when you combine lavender and violet, right, you get this talc, sometimes chalky, this kind of grit, like a gritty powder. This has got vanilla in it, hasn't it? Yeah, it's got vanilla, tonka, benzoin, all that good stuff. Fossilized amber. I wonder if that's I wonder if fossilized amber is like a fantasy note, you know, like meant to evoke a response kind of thing. It's fresh. It's warming up a bit now though. Getting more of the benzoin, like that resinous kind of thing. It's less dry. It's becoming a little bit more viscous. It's got that lightness from the vanilla and the like the lavender and the vanilla kind of give this lightness, brightness. It smells like fresh out the shower. It smells fresh out the bath, fresh out the shower, granny kind of thing, you know? It's got that. It's becoming a little bit more gloopy, like the resin sort of thing. Like imagine like talc resting on like a thick syrupy kind of vanilla paste, like, you know, Turkish Delight, you know, that kind of consistency when it's got like the sugar over it. Imagine like talc, imagine the Turkish Delight gel. It wasn't like, it was more like syrupy and viscous, and it had more kind of flow to it. It wasn't like set, you know. Interesting. Not too powdery for me. I might try it on skin and see if it does something different, because sometimes you can get that. But that isn't something that I would chase. It smells very pleasant though, you know, like in a nice way, because sometimes I say something smells pleasant and it's not in a nice way. That is quite nice. Anyhow, what do we have next? Next we have Chypre No.1. I have heard much about Chypre No.1. It's from 1998. Good grief. I was like 12 for most of 1998. Not a great time for me. Anyhow. Let's see what it says, shall we? What does the page say? Bergamot, lemon, orange blossom, rose de mai, jasmine, carnation, ylang ylang, spices, herbs, labdanum, oak moss, DM musk, civet, sandalwood, white ambergris, patchouli, incense resins, vanilla, orris butter, orris root tincture. Good grief. Just a little bit of everything. And the page says, a classic Chypre in the vintage style of bygone years. This nouveau vintage fragrance takes inspiration from the legendary Chypres of the 20s. This modern recreation contains over 60 individual essential oils, absolutes, extracts and tinctures. Chypre No.1 opens with a bright blast of candied citrus. Immediately, spices and aromatic herbs begin to add warmth and complexity. Discrete floral notes of jasmine and rose absolute swell to round out the composition and to create a truly unisex heart. The dry down reveals natural absolutes of labdanum, oak moss, artisanal tinctures of vanilla bean and tonka bean, civet, DM musk, white ambergris. Step back in time to experience the decadence of this golden age of perfumery. A bit of history in a bottle. I like a bit of history in a bottle. I'm getting hay. What could that be? I'm getting dry grass. It could be the civet. Very musky. Good grief. I must admit, Chypres, I'm about to say something absolutely outrageous here. Chypres aren't really my thing. The classic Chypre, I'm much more of a fougere type of person, although there are some Chypres that I really love, like Koros and stuff like that, but like the classic old Chypre with like the bergamot, like, you know, that structure, we all know that structure, bergamot, floral heart, oak moss, civet, and the base and stuff. You'd think I'd love it. It always gives me grand dame kind of vibes, you know. I'm getting hay. Why am I getting hay? Dry grass. Again, if you like a good Chypre, you might like this, you know. I mean, if you like a bad Chypre, you might hate this. I don't know. But this is nicely made. I'm getting dryness from it. Where the hell's the dryness coming from? Could be the spices. It did say herbs and spices, didn't it? Spices and aromatic herbs begin to add warmth and complexity. It could be the dryness of the herb. What herb are you? Labdanum I'm getting. What we got? I'm getting the labdanum. I'm getting bits of the civet, the warmth of the civet. Dryness. I'm getting so much dryness. Like a baked grass. Or like baked hay. You know when hay's like lost all of its chloroform? Chloroform? Chlorophyll. Bloody hell. Not chloroform. And it turns yellow and it starts to, like, it gives that kind of dry, baked kind of thing. I'm getting that from it. I'm getting the labdanum, musk. I'm getting this kind of zestiness as well, but not like a wet zest, you know? Like, imagine if you had like a fruity drink before you went outside into the baking sun, and like you were confronted with like a field, you know, and it hadn't just been cut, but the field had been cut like a week or two earlier, and the hay was baking in the sun, drying out. I'm getting some of the rose now. It's changing. A little bit of powderiness. It's a proper Chypre. It's definitely is what it says it is, you know. It's very beautiful. It's just not for me. Like I said, I have to qualify that by saying I'm not a fan of the genre, you know. The out classic Chypre. Excuse me whilst I hydrate. Getting a bit of the incense. Maybe that's what's drying it out. Interesting. Again, smells nice, but it's not something I would want to smell like, you know. Okay. Next up, we have Hekate, and I've been looking forward to Hekate. Hecate's pale offerings, as Macbeth said. Is this a pale offering? Hope not. Let's see. Hekate, where are you? Fir balsam, mulling spices, dried apricots, beeswax absolute, cypress, honey, cedar, patchouli, myrrh, castoreum, benzoin, Cambodian oud, and orris root. Hekate is the goddess of the night, the goddess of witches, spells, and magic. This fragrance captures the darker aspects of perfumery and draws inspiration from the fragrant materials of autumn. Dark and mysterious, full of resin, spices, and woods, Hekate involves the darker aspects of nature powerfully. It opens with heady fir balsam, dried apricots, and mulling spices. The heart then swells with notes of honey, cedar, cypress, and patchouli. Base notes of castoreum, Cambodian oud, myrrh, orris root, and sandalwood lend to a long, luxurious dry down that offers a changing nuance to explore. This is a dark, rich fragrance that takes hours to develop and evolve on skin. Experience the mystery, beauty, and power of the dark goddess, this Samhain. This Samhain, with this rare autumnal release. I'm getting the oud. There's a stank lurking deep within. A little bit metallic as well. That could be from the castoreum and oud mixing to give this kind of slightly metallic iron in blood kind of vibe, you know. I got the greenness from the first straight away, but it didn't last very long. This is like a niche version of leather oud, with the beeswax and the honey as well. This is quite similar to leather oud in a way, but without the amber wood, thank God. I'm getting the myrrh, creamy myrrh. I like this. I'll try this on skin. I imagine this would do all sorts on your skin. You know what I mean? I'm still getting the greenness. Very strange. It could be the cypress and fir. You know, like when you're a kid and you go through like forests and stuff. If you've ever been through through evergreen trees, like if you get right up close to them, they've got this iron green metallic kind of thing going on. You know, like they're full of green blood. It's got that kind of vibe. No reviews on Fragrante. That's a shame. Very oudy. Very Cambodian oud. Cambodian oud's one of the ouds I prefer a bit more. Palau oud, Cambodian oud. I'm more into that kind of thing than I am like that pissy ouds and fruity ouds and stuff like that. It's warm. I'm getting the sweetness a little bit, but it's not like saccharine sweetness. It's not like diabetic sweetness. It's this kind of resinous, natural, nature's bounty kind of sweetness. That's nice. I like that. That could be something you could spring for instead of spending thousands on a vintage leather oud, you know? It's definitely given that kind of vibe to me. Oh, the honey's just appeared a lot more there. That will go on skin. That one will definitely go on skin. Hekate. You always get what you want, don't you, Hekate? You rascal. Okay. Just give me nose a second. Last for today, but certainly not least, we have Bathory. I know who Elizabeth Bathory was. She was a bad woman. She allegedly used to get staff up to the castle and then imprison them and torture them and drink their blood. She was a naughty girl. Bathory. Bulgarian rose, saffron, blackcurrant bud, absolute, honey, Hungarian paprika. I didn't know Hungarians made paprika. Nutmeg, beeswax absolute, dragon's blood resin, vintage leather, DM musk, and civet. It's like something out of Skyrim, isn't it? Dragon's blood resin. It's like World of Warcraft type of thing. You must acquire the dragon's blood resin. A nod to the vintage style of bygone years. This enchanting perfume is a homage to the infamous Elizabeth Bathory. This Hungarian noblewoman was said to have bathed in the blood of young girls in an attempt to retain her youth. This dark and mysterious fragrance opens with a huge dose of Bulgarian rose otto, saffron, Hungarian spices, and honey. Murky base notes quickly arise to reveal an artisanal tincture of dragon's blood resin, frankincense, and a vintage leather which brings to mind the smell of a leather riding saddle after a long day's ride. A lovely civet and deer musk accord lends to an animalic dirtiness to this fantasy historical recreation. Huge, big, pretty rose at the top. Big, juicy, pretty rose at the top. Love that. It might be that rose might just be a little bit too pretty for me. I mean, I'm sure it's different on skin. It's quieting down. It's juicy. It's rosy. It's pink. The black currant and the saffron, when they first appeared at the beginning, I was like, oh, that smells like the beginnings of a rose oud, you know, because we've smelled that combination so many times, which is a shame because it's a good combination. It's just been abused in perfume now. That's not Darren Alan's fault. It's not any one particular person's fault. It's like kind of like everybody's fault, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? That's what you get for smelling nice. So it's juicy now. It's a little bit sweet. It might be a little bit femme for me at the top. I'll wear it though, because I'm going to try those two on skin, Hekate and Bathory. There is something a little bit dirty and filthy at the bottom, lurking. You can already tell. Something a little bit tangy, twangy. That might be the incense. And this kind of dry zest, you know? Yeah, there's something a little bit, do I want to say creamy? Could be the honey. Not getting much of the spice. But I'm getting something a little dirty, like the leather sort of thing is I think it said it was a vintage leather. I'd like to know what dragon's blood resin is. If anybody knows, let me know. This is juicy. It's not as juicy as it was. It was very pretty when I first put it on. And I'm not a pretty boy, so I would struggle to wear that. But the further down you get, you're getting a little bit of like the pissy, warm, resinous, leathery aspect. And I could definitely wear that. With the beeswax and the honey, when they warm up on your skin, they're so nice. It's such an interesting, slightly sweet, slightly creamy, gooey resin type of thing. The rose is yielding a bit now. So, we'll quickly go back over them and we'll see what is what. Sweet Repose. Sweet Repose is a lot more like caramel sort of thing now. It's warm and resinous and ambery. The benzoin and the myrrh and the vanilla taking over. Maybe I will try that on skin. The violet's like almost completely disappeared now. Chypre No.1. Still getting like a dry hay kind of thing. I'm not big on that. Like a dirty field, you know? Something still zesty too. Hekate? Heckin' yeah. Yes, that's going on skin. It's got a touch of Hyrax by Zoologist about it too. And last but not least, we have Bathory, which I've just smelled. Okay. Sweet. Sweet, rosy, resiny. Right then. So, this has been my second Darren Alan first impressions video. Again, impressed with the making, the technique. Not shit. Good, in fact. And so I will see you all again soon in the next video. Thanks, everyone. Bye.